Ron Siegel Radio on ESPN Radio 1700. Now, live in studio, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries. As we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media, this is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family, your business can benefit from current events. And most of all, thank you for joining me. Before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender, Kurt Szalonek, APRIS Fire and Water. Welcome.
How you doing, Ron? Good to be here.
Glad to have you with us once again. And boy, it's certainly nice that you came without your partner today.
Oh, yeah. He was trying to fit in some pants he couldn't fit into. So
I want to see that. We got to get some pictures of that, but that might be a little bit too much for a family show. Let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. As we come chasing up on the end of the year, we do have one of the best celebratory days, easy for me to say, of the year. What are we celebrating today? Kurt, you might like this one.
well, I know what it is.
It's National Bacon Day.
Oh, yeah.
I can smell that. Well, I guess I got a little bit of a cold, so I can't smell it sizzling, but I got a good imagination, so I know what it smells like.
Deep fried bacon, baked bacon, bacon.
Is there any way that bacon is not good?
I do not think so. Bacon is good.
Bacon is good, and today is National Bacon Day. I wonder where that started from. Do you have any idea where it started from? Well, let's see if they got any of those notes in for us. Someone once said, everything's better with bacon, someone once said. I can believe that. Found very little to dispute the assertion. In the United States and Canada, bacon is made from the pork belly. Who cares? Elsewhere in the world, the side and back cuts are used. The meat is cured, salt brine, salt pack. Here's like a no-brainer. Bacon is very popular in the U.S. No history on it, though. So let's just cook it, eat it, enjoy it. That is my mantra. I have no problem with that at all. Bacon. You got to love it.
Good stuff.
Moving right along. Have you been watching the... Now, I've heard of influenza. Most of us have heard of influenza. How about this dumb kid from, I think he's from Texas, with the affluenza issues? Have you followed that story at all? Unbelievable that the kid is now talking. He's the one that killed 4 people drunk driving. And he got off because he said he was too rich, too affluent, that his family never taught him any better. Unbelievable. Well, now he was caught playing, or allegedly playing, beer pong, which was supposedly a violation of his parole. He got a 10-year parole for killing 4 people. Unbelievable. But here's where it gets a little interesting. Supposedly a violation of his parole was playing beer pong, which he's supposedly caught doing. Not supposed to be drinking anymore. Then he takes off with his mom, goes to Mexico, and now he's fighting extradition because he was having too much fun in Puerto Vallarta with his mom. Getting a little creepy here. I wonder if some of the Mexican authorities might have a method of dealing with him better than what some of the U.S. authorities are apparently doing in this case. Unbelievable. Moving right along. Verizon may owe you some money. Have you followed that story? Are you a Verizon Sprint client? Well, they could owe you a refund. This is a story. Actually, our interns found this for us. Thought it might be interesting to share. Verizon and Sprint customers have a week to claim their refunds for unauthorized charges on their bill. Yeah, my kids told me they were calling those 900 numbers too, and I didn't believe them. Kurt, were you doing that too?
A lot of them charges. No.
2 wireless carriers settled with the FTC after allowing third-party companies to charge customers for premium text messages.
You know better than that.
Premium text messages without their consent and allegedly burying them in the bills. The activity has become known as cramming. You call it whatever you want. I'll call it what I want. If you can get your refund, make sure you check into it if you think you're entitled to it.
Well, so you just check into it anyways, just in case you're entitled to it?
I think I would check into it if I was entitled.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that.
If you have Sprint or Verizon, you might want to just check and see what you can get back. Just a thought. Another one of the stories, this is one of those stories that I share and talk about people that you just want to wring their necks. This is a story. 2 employees at J.P. Morgan Chase decided that they were able to make ATM cards and steal money from the accounts of senior citizens. They stole supposedly about $300,000 from seniors. The only part of the story that doesn't make it right, I don't know how it pacifies it just a tad, is that most of the seniors were deceased. But they were still getting their Social Security checks. So it just shows how genius our government is. They're still sending Social Security pay. Wonder why the Social Security system is bankrupt.
It is what it is.
Unbelievable. Almost $300,000 they got. Now, I love looking at some of these stories and some of the articles here. They steal $300,000 through ATM machines, and the prosecutors requested $100,000 in bail. And they were released on $25,000 bail. Where is the justice here?
What's the big idea?
Yeah, I don't get it, but bottom line on that story is make sure you're watching mom and dad's accounts. Don't let somebody get in there stealing their money. That's, we've got so much going on right now. There's so many distractions in the world. It's amazing how simple it's becoming for some of these scam artists to really just start stealing from mom and dad, grandma and grandpa. Maybe it's you if you're of that age. You hear about a scam a day almost, and I like to share those with you just so you'll know what's going on, so you can be on the lookout. Talk to mom and dad about it. Talk to grandma and grandpa about it. The other one that I'm hearing a lot of is that the grandchild is in jail, send money. That's another one. They call the seniors at 3 or 4 in the morning, so they're a little disoriented, telling them that they need money. Generally, they're requesting, right now, the number I've heard from 3 or 4 people recently is just under $600. That makes it a misdemeanor instead of a federal crime. I tell you what I'd like to do with them. Moving right along this morning. We told you this one was coming. We've talked about it over and over again, ad nauseum. The Unaffordable Care Act. Well, the president knew that he wouldn't have to worry about this too much when the bill was signed back in 2010, I believe it was, 2009, when they crammed it down our throat. He knew that he wouldn't be in office any longer than 2017. So this year, 2016, Obamacare premiums are increasing, average of 12.56% nationally, according to a new data released by Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. Higher premiums exceed the 7.5% average increase the Obama administration has highlighted for the Silver Plan. Think about that. Are you getting an increase of 12.5% in your salary? Yeah, probably not. Although, Kurt, I think Don said that he's going to give you a 12.5% extra share. He doesn't need his profits this year, so he's going to give them to you.
Oh, that's very nice.
And we've got it on radio now, so it's got to be true.
Yeah, it must be true. Boy, he told you that?
He said that.
That's a Christmas present, wasn't it?
Christmas present. Everyone knows it now.
Wow.
So
I'm going to hold him to that.
Call
Ron said.
Exactly. Call Don and tell him that we're looking forward to that change over this year.
So now I get to give to Obamacare, though. That's great.
Yeah, well, you get more money and you can give it to Obamacare, but, Don doesn't mind. He said it's okay.
What a giver.
And he said that he's the administrative part of the company, so he must know the issues there. I think it's kind of funny because we always play the Odd Couple music when you and he come in.
Right.
And ironically enough, we refer to him as Felix, you as Oscar.
Right.
And he's the one that didn't make it in today.
Right, exactly.
And he's got the wrong pants.
Right. He's at the gym. He's got to keep that little body up for himself, or I don't know who, but he loves that fitness stuff. And
yeah, we know what's going on at the gym. That's he's got there with the dark shades on, and he's telling everybody he's working out.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
We're gonna have some fun today, being that he didn't make it in. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, we will harass Don a little bit more. We'll talk about the American dream of homeownership. Is it alive or is it dead? How to avoid 5 big year-end money mistakes, 7 investment lessons from Mom. All of that and more. You can reach me anytime. Call our off-air number at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. On Twitter, at Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Ron Siegel Radio Date Night Trivia, presented by Reunion Kitchen and Drink. Friday, Ron will pose a question based on-air conversations during the prior 7 programs. The person to post the answer according to the guest conversation will win a date night package, including a dinner gift card for Reunion Kitchen and Drink. You might even be able to say hi to Ron when you visit Reunion Kitchen and Drink.
It's not every day your home gets flooded, but when it happens, you've got the good people at Apris on your side. With over 25 years of construction and insurance experience, they can turn any disaster around, making your home good as new. For 24/7 support, call 844-GO-APRIS or find us on the web at www.apris.me. Day, night, rain, or shine, when it happens to you, you know what to do. Go Apris. Remember, call 844-GO-APRIS. That's 844-462-7747.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel Radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission, lending partners will give a credit at closing, the title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime. at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, the real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Do you want to know how much equity you have in your home? You're not going to get it online. What you have to do is text PAIR, P-E-A-R, to 79564. Professional Equity Analysis Review. PAIR to 79564. One of the area trusted real estate professionals will reach out to you. They're from your neighborhood, and they'll let you know what your house is worth, what your equity looks like. Maybe it makes sense for you to sell your home. I shared with you yesterday some of the ideas about debt consolidation. We might talk a little bit, if we have time today, about how I can show you how to sell any home 30 days or less, getting the maximum amount for your property and the most exposure for your property. It's not that difficult if you know what you're doing. The question I have for you today, though, is the American dream of homeownership still alive, or is it dead? Most recent post, Trulia examined whether homeownership was again being seen by adults in the U.S. as part of their personal American dream. Over the last 5 years, the percentage of U.S. adults who believe homeownership is part of the American dream increased from 70 to 75%. The percentage of 18 to 34-year-olds, that's what we call the millennials, who believe homeownership is part of their American dream, increased from 65% to 80%. 65% to 80%. So the bottom line here, as the housing industry recovers from the crisis of 2008 to 2010, Americans' belief in ownership as part of their own personal American dream has also made a strong comeback, despite the information that we just got this morning from the National Association of Realtors, where they reported contracts to buy previously owned homes dropped 0.9% in November, an unexpected decline. We were expecting it to go up 0.5%. Year-over-year basis, sales rose 2.7%. So home ownership still on the increase, just not going at the direct pace we would have hoped for. That is the real-time real estate segment, brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Oscar, where are you? Okay, if you recognize that theme song, that means you're probably about as old as I am. Well, maybe not quite as old as I am. The Odd Couple. We refer to them as Kurt Szalonek, Don Gilmartin, Apris Fire and Water, good friends of the program. Kurt, we got it made because Don didn't show up today.
He's got a quiet day today.
Quiet day today, so we can harass him all we want. And those of you that are watching us either on ronsiegelradio.tv or if you're watching the replay on YouTube, you can probably tell that Kurt we refer to lovingly as Felix. Oscar, sorry.
I thought you were going to say well-fed.
Wasn't going to go there. In my size, I don't say that to anybody. But we are going for bacon after this, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But we've got Kurt here, who we frequently refer to as Oscar. Don, you can see over there the chair is empty. Felix did not show up. He's got the wrong pants. That's kind of odd, isn't it?
Yeah. I got a text this morning that Don has his routine. He goes to the gym every morning. The guy's a nut about that.
That doesn't surprise us. That's kind of odd couple OCD.
Yeah, exactly. He goes to the gym and I eat bacon. So go.
There you go. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. So anyways, and so we have obviously a uniform service, and they do our drops, and sometimes they mix up the lockers back and forth. Well, I'm sporting a 40+ size waist, and Don's sporting a 32. And I guess he this morning went to the gym. I get a text. Hey man, I got the wrong pants. I'm putting your pants on. I got scared that I lost a lot of weight overnight.
Well, at least look at the bright side, because at least he could put your pants on. You may have a little challenge if you tried to put his on.
It fit on a leg, maybe.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
I've got a leg bigger than him.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I wanted to chat with you about this morning, because we're watching here in the state of confusion. Last night, Devore had an earthquake. I saw that up in Northern California we had an earthquake. or was Washington, Oregon, one of those had an earthquake. We've had quite a few earthquakes in the last few weeks. We saw a lot of flooding in the Midwest recently.
The Mississippi's having big problems right now.
And so I figured, we talked a couple of weeks back when you were in with us. We were talking about preparation for El Nino.
Right.
And I don't think El Nino has anything to do with earthquakes.
No.
Not sure about that,
Yeah.
but I don't think it. But we are starting to see the rains that we've got a little bit more rain. The global warming is catching us here in Southern California. I saw it was about 39 degrees overnight.
Yeah.
Very, very warm here in Southern California. Toasty.
Yeah.
Nice toasty 30. That wasn't even centigrade. That was Fahrenheit.
Right. I'm getting a little, be honest with you, I'm getting a little worried about, these weather, all these weather guys and people, they're getting really good about predicting this weather. And it's amazing. 20 years ago when I started my construction business, you'd go out and they'd say it's going to rain, and you walk outside and it's sunny. They never got it right. They're getting paid to be wrong. But now, was it Monday? They said that we're out here in Corona, California. They were telling us that, it's going to start raining at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. About 1:15, guess what happened? It started raining, and I couldn't believe it. So I'm getting they're predicting this El Nino that's going to be a big, big, big event. And I'm afraid that it's going to be that big event. And I'm really worried for a lot of people that they're going to kind of become complacent because we haven't had a lot of rain right now, and they're not going to heed the warning.
Or in the last 4 or 5 years.
Right, exactly. Yeah, well, yeah. But they're not going to heed the warning. I just hope that everybody is really getting prepared out there.
So what can we do to be prepared? I can't get a big umbrella for my house.
No, but you can definitely, check your drainage around your house. That's the biggest thing, is make sure the water's flowing away from your house. If you have yard drains, make sure the yard drains are clear. Make sure your gutters are clear. We are offering a free roof inspection. They can give you a call, and we can hook them up with that, just to make sure that the roof is, relatively intact, because, we don't know what we're going to get here, but why not be prepared? And we're coming into it.
And I'm going to take it one step further, just because I've seen recently... we were watching the flooding in the Midwest. We've seen some of these different natural disasters. Why not? We saw what went on in San Bernardino. I don't want to tie those together, the murderers in San Bernardino. Right. But here's what I do want to tie in there is just taking some personal responsibility. Right. Have some bottled water. I was listening to one of the experts recently, one of the water people. And they were saying that we use 150 gallons of water per day per person in our communities. Mm-hmm. That's our usage. Right. Now, I don't know that we can store 150 gallons of water per person in our house, but we can certainly have enough drinking water, to last us a few days if the electricity's out or pumps or whatever.
And that's going to happen when the line, when the ground gets saturated. And then we get a little bit of wind, the trees start falling over, start knocking off power lines, and we go out of power. Everybody has flashlights in their house pretty much.
We hope.
Well, now, for the most part, but their batteries don't work.
Right.
And candles have gone away except for scented candles.
Sure.
So, there should be some stuff that you should, prepare. If you lose power, if you have kids, if you don't have kids, then, go on your own. That's fine. But if you have kids, you have responsibility. Make sure they have water. Make sure there's at least some canned food around. What if it's a day or 2 days? And I've worked Hurricane Sandy. Those are huge, catastrophes. But it's amazing that people, they hear about, but they're not prepared. How hard is it to have a couple of cases of water laying around just in backup, or a 5-gallon water bottle? They sell them at Home Depot now.
Well, yeah, and you look at it, if you go over to Costco or Target or someplace like that, a case of our state of confusion tax is more than the cost of the product.
Right.
Right? A case of water is like $3 or something, and then you pay $4 for the CRV, and you just throw a few of those in the garage, just in case. And I'm not one of those that believes in the doom and gloom theory.
Right.
But there is something to be said about a little bit of common sense.
Right. And then also, too, a lot of people have, RVs or motorhomes or trailers and whatever. Fill them up with propane. You could always transplant into there for a while, because look at it, the power goes down, most of our heaters aren't going to work.
Sure.
So, and we don't want to be sitting there, running propane heaters inside our house, because then you run into another
That's when we get the fires.
Yeah, and run into another hazard. So you just got to really think, and I would take it seriously. And, what do you have to lose, really? If you prepare, you have extra water around the house, you drink it later. What's
Extra water, some a hand can opener. Some of us only have electric, but a hand can opener.
Yeah. Well, hammers work too, though, for that.
So, can of tuna.
Yeah.
Spam.
I like spam.
Bacon, Kurt.
Yeah, there you go. Ham, spam, and bacon. Yeah.
But really, then truly, the idea here is as we close in on the end of the year, and we've talked about a lot of these different issues. Just pay heed, and when we come back, I want to chat with Kurt because he has worked some of these catastrophes. What do you need to know about those? What do you need to know when you talk to your insurance company? Should you call your insurance company? Should they be the first call you make? We're going to talk about all of that. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. We will also chat about 5 big year-end money mistakes. You don't want to make those. And some investment lessons from Mom. All of that. Remember, you can reach me anytime. Our off-air number. It's 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter at Ron Siegel, and on YouTube at Ron Siegel 1. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel lending team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel lending team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel lending team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Southern California attorneys have over 15,000 real estate agents to call in Orange County for their personal and professional needs. Why do they overwhelmingly call Melinda Johnson? Simple. It's the Melinda Johnson trifecta. Melinda is an attorney, real estate broker, and realtor. Does your family deserve the same professional services California lawyers demand? Call Melinda Johnson at 714-863-5485. That's 714-863-5485. Or on the web at freedomfirstproperties.com. Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel lending team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel lending team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
37% of American homeowners believe they have over 20% equity in their homes. Fannie Mae tells us 69% of American homeowners have over 20% equity in their homes. Fully 1 in 3 American homeowners are not informed about the amount of equity they have in their homes. Are you one of them? How might this be holding you back from achieving your goals? Text RSR CMA to 79564 to get a property valuation from one of the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Again, to know how much your home is really worth, simply text RSR CMA to 79564.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime. At 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. 5 year-end money-saving tips. That is the subject of today's Your Credit Matters segment, brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. Yes, you do have a credit report, and yes, it is wrong. I know that because they're all wrong. I haven't seen one since, I've been looking at reports since the 90s. Yet to see one that's completely accurate. Even after some of these services work on them, it's amazing how much work there is always to be done on the credit reports. So let's get into some of these year-end money tips. Number one, spend your flexible spending arrangement dollars, your flexible spending account, FSA. You don't want to lose those funds. Use it or lose it. There's all kinds of different items you can use those dollars on. You can go over to get some, I think, Band-Aids, aspirin, Tylenol, cough and cold. All those different items, they're available on those. You can buy with those flexible spending accounts. Number two, and I get so many people that just don't understand this one, prepare your taxes. Now, I understand that that's probably this time of year, that's not a fun subject, prepare your taxes. But if you'd spend a little bit of time right now dealing with that, you may find out that come April next year, the bill isn't quite as large as you might have thought it would be because you did some planning in advance. Number three, check your bank account and credit card statements. We talked about that earlier with that the scam that was going around with some of the seniors. Number four, set budget and savings goals. That might be an issue for you to contemplate right now at this time of year. Again, you can set those goals for 2016. Again, those are just some things that you do early. You worry about them now, so you don't have to worry about them as much later. Ironically enough, those that plan really find that they get down to the end much more efficiently. And the one that I'm not a big fan of, I do get this one told to me all the time, max out your retirement 401k only to the extent of the match you get from your employer. I've shared this with you before. The 401k, the IRA, they're all a government ruse to take more of your money than you really need to be paying. Think about it. It's just plain logic. You're spending, if you take $1,000 right now and save it, if you're in the 30% tax bracket, I use that number because it's easy, you pay $300. Now, if that grows, which you anticipate it will grow by the time you retire, then that $1,000, say, grows to $10,000. Instead of paying $300, you get to pay $3,000. Does that make any sense to you? Now, what if you take and put that into some other tax-advantaged vehicle? And I've shown people many, many times various tax-advantaged vehicles. I do not sell them. I'll tell you right now, I am not the one to call that if you want to buy them from me. You call me, I'll tell you who to talk to and who's got the right products, programs that are beneficial for you. I don't sell them. I don't make a nickel on them. I share the information with you so you can go out and enjoy life and not pay the government nearly as much, because I believe that you can do better with that money. Give it to a local charity instead of giving it to Washington, D.C. so they can blow your money. That is the Your Credit Matters segment, again brought to you by creditsanitizer.com. I'm going to continue our conversation this morning. Kurt Szalonek is in the house. Apris Fire and Water. We chat with Kurt on a regular basis. Thank goodness, Kurt, we haven't had any major catastrophes to talk about.
Really?
You know, that's a nice benefit because there are so many that go on. But you know, some of the folks I saw some flash flooding going on in the Midwest earlier today on some of the news programs.
Right.
We're getting our rain here in Southern California, for the most part, in a beneficial way. There's not as much flooding. You know, we got a little bit yesterday, enough to make the cars messed up and give us some water it can seep in.
Right.
Maybe some of our lawns might come back to life that we've been killing over the last over the summer.
Right.
But you know, being that the broadcast is now on so many stations and we're streaming on the internet, maybe we've got some folks out in the Midwest that might be listening to us as well. You have some of these issues. You have a flood, a flash flood. You have a fire, an earthquake. The question I would offer is, what are our requirements? What do I have to do versus what should I do? First case.
Yeah, by the insurance standard, your policy, typically you're to try to preserve your property or prevent secondary damage. Obviously, if your house floods, there's nothing you can really do about it at that time. It's over. But
can I call the insurance company?
Well, no, I mean you can. But the first thing is start dealing with the situation, like what's going on. Try to, if you can mitigate the water. If it's flooding, like the water's rising, there's nothing you can do. But let's just say hypothetically you had just a downpour and it's a flash flood, which we get out here in California a lot. Flash floods where it basically comes through, it rolls through, and it's gone. And it's flooded your house, it drains out, and now you're left with mud and silt and just all kinds of chaos inside your home. You can call a company like Apris. We can come out there and start we'll call it mucking it out, basically cleaning it up, drying it out, start the drying process. Simultaneously, we can put help you with your filing your insurance claim and notify the insurance company that there's something going on at the house. More than likely, by the time that we call, they've already known the areas, because areas are prone to flood. Like right now in the Midwest, whatnot, they're already staging out there for a lot of these floods that are happening. They're talking about the Mississippi rising higher than it's ever did in 20 years. So they're already staging insurance adjusters and getting ready for this to happen out in those areas. So they kind of already know. So first thing is, take care of yourself. My biggest thing I tell everybody, like right now, if you're in a flood zone area, you're in a flood zone area, photograph your house, all your pictures inside, so you know what kind of content you have. And then also too, just make sure, what are you guys going to do if it floods? Have an emergency evacuation plan. Know where you're going, know where your kids are going. Your valuable stuff, if I lived in a flood zone, and the valuable stuff to me are like photographs, important papers, documents. Put them in a box. Get them out of the way for right now. The furniture and stuff, don't worry about that. But the important stuff that you cannot replace, you should do something. Be prepared. Take accountability for yourself, like you said earlier. So.
Sure. And there's so many services online now. To me, I'm a tech nerd.
Right.
Right. So insurance policies and important numbers, I've got them all on my phone.
Right.
I've got them on a Dropbox account so I can log into it from anywhere there's internet service.
Right.
I've got it on my laptop. I've got it on my iPad. All of these, so it's all off-site, so I can access it. Even if the house floods, if the house burns, if the house falls in an earthquake, I get a big crevice.
Right.
Right, I've got access to that. A Dropbox account, you can go to Dropbox.com, and they'll give you, I believe, 2 gigabytes for free. Right? So you can copy a lot of pictures.
You can almost build emergency service file, let's just call it that. You have all these emergency contacts in there if something happens. But one thing I do want to say too is, don't panic. It's not like if something happens and your house floods, you don't have to run tomorrow and call the insurance company that minute. Okay, you have time to process. Remember, it's like haste makes waste. Don't get hasty and I got to do this. Just take your time. Once something happens, evaluate it. Huddle yourself back up, your family back up, and figure out, okay, the next course of action is, what are we going to do? And the next course of action is start rebuilding your property, or start drying your property, or actually seeing the damage. The insurance company, you've paid for that policy. It's in place. Okay, so if you call them, if it floods today and you don't call them tomorrow or the next couple of days, the damage has already been caused by the flood. It's not a big. They're not going to deny the claim. It's just you need to process and start mitigating towards a solution or resolution of what happened.
And remember, you've got to look out for you've got to be your own advocate.
Right, absolutely.
Right, I mean, here's one that I'm going to share with you on a regular basis because I've dealt with it personally, is the insurance companies hire the adjusters. And the adjusters work for the insurance company. I know it sounds circuitous there, but they work for the insurance company. They don't work for you. Their job is to see how they can get your property back to where it was for the least possible expense of the insurance company. And you need to understand what your policy says, or find somebody that can help you with what that policy information is. Otherwise, you're going to be left out in the cold. Kurt, you've talked about that many times.
Yeah, what it is they try to, they have to make you whole. But there's just different, their best interest, and I try to say I'm an advocate for both the carrier and the consumer. Everybody get a fair shake is what I want.
Sure.
But I'll tell you what, it sure seems like I'm fighting the carriers an awful lot more on coverage issues and what needs to be done than I ever have. In other words, I don't know if they're tightening up. I don't know what's going on, but it just seems like, it's always no, no, no. And I feel bad for the consumer that doesn't have a guy like me that understands the system.
Right.
On their behalf, because the carriers are going to run wild and you're not going to know you're due. We talked about depreciation before, recoverable depreciation.
Sure.
I have a job right now that we're finishing up and there's almost $4,000 in recoverable depreciation. Now, if that guy didn't know, or if the homeowner, he didn't even know what it was. He just thought they took the money. It's like, what's this number? Because when I gave him a contract price, I included the depreciation in there because that's actually part of the contract. So he's like, but I only got a check for, let's just say, $10,000. But his claim was $14,000. But he goes, so I'm going to owe you $4,000. No, you're not going to owe you $4,000. The carrier's going to give you depreciation back. Oh, I didn't know that was my money. No, that is your money.
Right.
So that's what people get, and that's the little underlying.
And if you don't know that, you may not get that money
they're
back.
Not going to volunteer it to you.
Absolutely. So you got to know your rights. We're going to talk about another little known part of the policy, ALE. Are you aware of that one?
Right.
That's another biggie that many people don't know about. We will chat about it when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. We'll also get into those 7 investment lessons from Mom. You can reach me anytime. Call our off-air number, 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Do you have a loved one who wants to stay in their home but you have health concerns about it? The Preferred Care team understands the challenges of caring for your loved ones. Their goal is to keep seniors as independent as possible while maintaining their health, safety, and overall well-being. Whether you need just a few hours a week or 24-hour care, Preferred Care caregivers are trained to meet your needs. Call Preferred Care at 714-696-9150. That's 714-696-9150. Or visit preferredcare.com.
In these uncertain times, it's getting harder and harder to find a safe and effective method of investing. If you're looking at retirement options that can provide some real security for you and your family, look no further than a reverse mortgage with Siegel Lending Team. Hundreds of thousands of other Americans are already taking advantage of reverse mortgages. It allows you to eliminate monthly mortgage payments, pay some bills, or simply enjoy your retirement more. A government-insured reverse mortgage with Siegel Lending Team allows seniors to stay in their home and turn their equity into tax-free cash. To qualify, there are no credit score requirements, and remember, you continue to retain complete ownership of your home. Call 1-800-306-1990 to receive a new special edition handbook, Feature Reverse Mortgage Borrowers, plus an educational brochure absolutely free. Find out more. Call Siegel Lending Team today, 1-800-306-1990. SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com or 1-800-306-1990.
Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
Get a tax break and make a difference. Donate your used car to Father Joe's Villages and help end homelessness. Make your tax-deductible donation before the year ends. Call 1-800-HOMELESS or go to neighbor.org.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message. And as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Investment lessons from mom. That is the subject of today's Word on Wealth segment today, brought to you by your household board of directors. You need one if you don't have one. Simple to get a household board of directors. Text ATP, Area Trusted Professional, to 79564. Take a 2-minute survey, and a set of household directors in your neighborhood will be sent to you from the team. What are some of these investment lessons from mom? There's some pretty interesting things in here. It's going to take us a while to go through some of these, so I'm not going to get to all of them. Don't run with sharp objects was number one. Isn't hard to understand why she didn't want me to run with scissors through the house. I just think I did it early on just to watch her panic. However, later in life, when I got my first apartment, I ran through the entire place with a pair of scissors, left the front door open with the air conditioning on, and turned every light on in the house. The rebellion immediately stopped when I received my first electric bill. Mom told us to turn off the lights, right? Remember that? Just like, did you have to learn that the hard way? Like, don't touch a hot stove or something along those lines? Look both ways before you cross the street. I grew up in a small town, so crossing the street wasn't as dangerous as it is in the city. Nonetheless, I was yanked by the collar more than once as I started to bolt across the street, seemingly as anxious to get to the other side as the chicken that we have all heard so much about. It is important to understand that traffic does flow in two directions. If you only look in one direction, sooner or later you're going to get hit. I've shared this one with many, many people. When the stock market is going up like crazy, I hear so many people say, well, I picked Apple stock and it did well, and I picked this stock and it did well, and I picked that stock and it did well. Well, that might be just a bull market, and you have to know what you're doing in the bear market. Doesn't always come out quite so clean. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. If you want, there's some great advice here. Just give me an email, ron@ronsiegelradio.com. I'll send you the whole report of investment lessons from mom. I might even post it on Ron Siegel Radio on Facebook, because I think it's kind of interesting and you might enjoy it. That's the Word on Wealth segment, brought to you by your household board of directors. Simply text ATP to 79564. We will get you the information and a full household board of directors for you as well. I'm going to continue our conversation with Kurt Szalonek. He is half of the odd couple. Oscar showed, Felix didn't, so we can harass Felix, and we will for eternity. Even though, especially being that he had the wrong pants. I mean, that's the best thing.
Yeah.
I gotta love that one. In fact, we might even tweet that out and put a picture.
I'll get you a picture of mine and his, and then we'll tweet it out. And there's a little confusion. There's no confusion. Mine looks like a little tent. I don't know how he grabbed the wrong ones, but it's probably the guy who's put in the wrong.
Yeah, don't let him off so easy. Don't let him off like that. I want to see him go out and making his client visits today at the year end. Yeah. in your pants instead of his.
That belt tight. That probably looked pretty good, huh?
That's going to be pretty funny.
Yeah.
So before the break, we were talking about some of the things that people don't know within their insurance policy. And one of them that I learned the hard way, many people, and I'm sure that there's a lot of insurance companies that are not going to be happy about us sharing this one, Kurt, is something called ALE, Additional Living Expenses. Mm-hmm. And it's part of every policy that I know.
Policy has it, right.
And the thing that I found most interesting was the insurance company's responsibility, the contract, basically says they've got to get me something similar to what I have.
Right.
So if I have a 4-bedroom house with a view,
right,
they're supposed to, and it's in Newport Beach.
Right.
They're not, the equivalent is not going to be a 1-bedroom hotel room at the Motel 6 in Compton.
Right. Absolutely. Right.
Right.
So the biggest thing with ALE is it's kind of same with the insurance in your repairs or whatever. It's like for the most part. You know, you're to be made whole. And the thing is you know, it's not necessarily if you have a 5-bedroom house, you know, you're going to get a 5-bedroom house. But like you said, it's the type and the style. I mean, if you're living in Bel Air, you're not going to move, like you said, to Pomona or put you in Pomona. It's supposed to be within where your house was, a vicinity, and they'll put you up in hotels and whatever. But it's not. I had a client that was in Riverside, a really nice home in Riverside, and he thought he had to go to the Motel 6 around the corner. I'm like, no, you can stay at the Mission Inn. You live in a very nice 4,000 square foot home. You can stay at the Mission Inn. It's all within reason, to be honest with you. What people don't know the most is I think about the food and all those little nuances.
But before you get to the food, though, because let's just talk one other thing about the housing.
Right.
So hypothetically, I've got myself, my wife. I've got a 4-bedroom house. Myself, my wife, son, daughter. They've each got their own bedrooms. Sure. When we go to a hotel room, do we all have to share one room?
Absolutely not. No.
So do the kids each get their own room?
They're usually adjoining rooms, but they usually do. I mean, if you, it's catch-22. I mean, you have to they're going to try to give you one room.
Okay.
But you are due. I mean, if you guys don't all sleep together in the house, why would you sleep together in the hotel room?
Right.
But then you go to the issue of the age. And see, remember, a lot of times, depending on the loss it is, they're going to put you into a hotel at first, because it's the quickest thing to get. But then they're going to talk to the contractor like myself, how long is the repair is going to take? And we're going to estimate, okay, they're going to be out 3 months, 2 months. And these are on big losses, obviously.
Sure.
2-3 months. Then they will find you actually permanent housing. They'll actually find I don't know how they do it exactly, but there's a pool of
corporate housing or something along those lines.
Exactly.
Airbnb.
So, yeah, exactly. So they'll find you something, but in the initial, it might be a week or two if you're out that you'll go into a hotel. But you're not to settle for. I mean, if you're, like I said, you're living in a nice home, and it doesn't mean if you're living in a bad home. I told the story before. I did a job, and it was in actually Watts, California, and it was a pretty rough neighborhood. Well, I explained the ALE to the guy. This is as an adjuster. Explained the ALE to the guy. Well, the guy went down literally and stayed at the Ritz-Carlton in San Diego. Okay, he had a 800 square foot house, and he was staying in a 1,200 square foot hotel room or suite.
Sounds nice to me.
Yeah. So what the insurance is, they actually only gave him within the vicinity. They allowed him only, whatever it was, $90 a night. Was in the vicinity.
Sure.
So he ate the rest of the $600 a night.
Oh.
So yeah, but it just it's being reasonable, but you shouldn't be. I mean, it's going to be a catastrophe for you as it is. It's going to be hard on you guys as it is.
Right.
But the initial bridge is obviously get you guys a roof over your head. But then when you go into the actual permanent housing, if it's a long loss, you should be having what you're accustomed to for the most part.
Okay, now let's go to the next step here, Kurt, because one of the things that I see on a regular basis, obviously leading a lending team, condos. The condo association is generally going to take care of the walls and the hard issues.
The stuff inside the walls. It's like the plumbing and electrical within the walls that are quote unquote common is usually what's covered by the association policy. Then
what about the other part? I mean, that's almost like a renter, right?
It's kind of, I think they're a little bit different policy than a rental policy, but like I said, I'm not a policy expert.
Right.
But they're a little bit different than policy than. I'm not really exactly sure on the condo part of it, on the condo association policies, if it covers like the actual light fixture in the residence itself. Because that's kind of, you can change a light fixture that you bring in or a fan. But they're really similar to a rental policy where they're covering all your content, they're covering all the ALE, they're covering all that type of stuff.
So those are the walls-in policy. Condo, they call it an HO6 walls-in policy. Anything inside the walls,
right?
You need to have separate coverage. It's very, very inexpensive, very reasonable. Mm-hmm. $40, $50 a month at the most.
Right.
Rental policies, pretty $30, $40 a month.
Right.
But that's how you're going to get that coverage in case you're living in an apartment or a rental, and you have a flood or you have a fire or any of these other natural or non-natural disasters, right? The unexpected.
Well, it's like I've had losses before where it was the unit next to the apartment flooded because the toilet overflowed, and it actually seeped into my client's apartment.
And that's usually the biggest expense there is. That $3 part,
yeah, absolutely.
The supply line part seems like it's one of the biggest
always
creators of havoc in people's houses.
Refrigerators, toilets, sinks, the supply lines that crack or get a hole in them. And people walk away. They don't know what's happening. They come back from work and their house is flooded. But in that case, the association has nothing to do with what happened. If it seeped underneath the wall, it came from the other unit, right?
Right.
So your policy needs to take care of all those contents and whatnot.
Okay, so you got to make sure that you've got the right policy. You've got to have somebody that's going to look over it for you. I'm going to share with you, and I know that a lot of insurance people are not going to be happy with me saying this, but I will anyway. Find an agent that you can speak with. Find an agent that if there's a problem, and when you talk to your agent up front, I would ask them, if I have a flood or if I have a slab leak or I have a supply line leak, who do I call? And if they tell you to call the company's 800 number, find a different agent. Call me. I'll put you in touch with somebody who's hands-on and is a service person. That's what we want to do. And the other thing I ask you all the time, set that first radio preset button to come back here every day to join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A very big thanks to Steve, who's engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
Our house in the middle of our street. Our house.
XLPE 1700 AM, Decatur, Baja California.
You're listening to ESPN Radio 1700.